Good evening. Welcome to That Pedal Show VCQ Viewers, Comments and Questions Live. Dan here.
Mick here. Hello.
We haven't graced your visuals live for the last couple of weeks because we live in the middle of a paddock in a hole in the ground where there is no reception to be found. We've just had internet trouble, so thank you for bearing with us, everyone. Really appreciate it. We have a whole bunch of super chats to catch up on from a couple of weeks ago, so we'll get to those in due course. But thank you very much for joining us today. We got young Sir Michael at the helm, making sure that everything's looking lovely, and everything does look lovely.
We can't. Everything has to change all the time, doesn't it? That's just the nature of the beast. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Can we see this mic that's hanging down here? No, not quite. That's good.
Very good.
That's good, Dan. Isn't it?
It's fantastic.
That's good.
I'm so pleased.
Let the curtains down. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. Sorry we've been away. The problem was twofold, as it turned out. Welcome to, if you haven't been here before, sort of normal ramshackled discussion through various topics.
Yeah.
If you have, you know to expect that.
Every now and then we'll discuss pedals.
Sometimes.
I'm
I'm just checking all the lights are on. Sorry about my quiff hitting the microphone there. So the problem was twofold for regular viewers who were annoyed that we weren't around. One was the internet did actually get taken out because it's a line of sight service. Two, our router died behind there. So I replaced it.
Oh, and that helped?
Yeah.
Good.
Solved one problem, and we are currently seeking other alternatives for broadband, but it's all horrifically expensive, and we're not sure we can justify it. So anyway, more on that another time. Oh, here's Rosie.
You alright, baby girl?
And hopefully a beverage.
Do you need anything, Dan? Water?
I'd love a glass of water. Thank you so much.
See, I've got two beverages. Dan's is flipping pedal board in the way. So
Sorry. Yeah, it's fine.
what I'll do is
Balance them precariously.
precariously balance the drinks on a £5 pedal board.
Awesome.
So yeah, much has changed. We've completely changed our audio setup.
Yeah.
Largely thanks to our friend Gareth Johnson at Standalone Productions, who also makes the Love Bomb. Gareth has inspired me in whole new ways when it comes to audio, and he lent us some nice analog audio front end stuff, and we have since acquired some of our own. I'll do a vlog on it, but the word Neve features quite heavily, and I'm just blown away. I actually recorded some drums over the weekend, and I'm just like, I can't believe it. I can't believe how good it sounds.
Mick just played me a track that has not only no plugins, no EQ of any kind, and no compression. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it does have a bit of output bus compression, but that's it. I've made a video. I wanted to get it out for tomorrow, but I just don't think it's going to happen. We did the Boonar on Friday, right? And the new T-Rex Echo Rec. And I did have to moan that it was very noisy.
Right.
But it does have XLR balanced ins and outs for use as studio outboard or whatever else you want to use it for with balanced ins and outs. So I've made a video about that, recorded a simple track, guitar, bass and drums, used it as outboard to investigate that a bit. And good news is it's quiet as a mouse on the XLRs.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Well, it's quite quiet.
Yeah.
Certainly quiet enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it did sound rather spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was hoping to get that out tomorrow. There's not enough hours in between now and tomorrow to edit it, but right, so I really should log in. We got any people on, Dan?
We do have people on. Noise Bloom says, welcome back, legends. Thank you, buddy.
Good.
Andrew Moore says, morning from Boston. More than a feeling. Thank you, bud. Mike Litton says, I'm a fan of anyone that gets to chat with Joey Landreth. That's brilliant. Well, then you'll be a fan of someone that's coming in tomorrow. You like that segue?
That was telly-worthy, I would say.
Very good. So we have Jocelyn Guild coming in tomorrow. Jocelyn is an amazing jazz guitarist. She's over here on tour. She's playing the Jazz Cafe. It's either tonight or tomorrow night. But she's popping in for a chat. Going to see us tomorrow. So we're going to talk about all things jazz.
Amazeballs.
Yeah, it'd be really great.
I'll just sit here looking confused, obviously.
She's brilliant. I've been a fan of hers for a while. But she's a very good friend with Joey. In fact, Joey has had the odd sort of theory understanding thing.
You can say guitar lesson.
Yeah. Anyway, she's that good that Joey goes to her for some, some wisdom. Yeah. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing her tomorrow. That'll be great fun. James Bless says hello from Glasgow. Hope everyone's well. Thank you, bud. Yes.
Hi,
hope you're well
James.
too. Yep,
good
all
to hear
good.
from
Thanks,
you,
mate.
buddy.
We've got Steve Cassidy. Rosie can bring drinks. Rosie's a very talented hound. She's amazing.
Hello, dog.
Thank you.
Hello,
Thank
dog.
you so much.
Sorry.
We surreptitiously included Rosie in one of the T-shirt shots this week to try and tug at the heartstrings to get you to buy more stuff before Christmas. It's pretty blatant. We got 2 new Christmas teas, or seasonal teas for those of you who don't like the word Christmas.
Really? There we go.
I
Good
girl. I just
come and see the people.
Can't
Come
do
and see
two
the
things
people.
at once, Dan.
It's all right, mate. It's all right. Hello, baby.
Yes, so they're pre-order only. Oh, for God's sake. Please buy a seasonal tea. They're pre-order only. You can buy them up until midnight tonight. But I think we might have ordered some more, but I'm not supposed to tell you that. Just in case, because we do need to get the pre-orders in. I absolutely can't do 2 things at once. Dan,
That's all right.
talk to the people.
Yeah, no
and I'll
worries.
try
No
and log
worries. Reeves Electro is on. Lovely. And says that it's already quieter, as in noise floor with the new mic setup. You dancing with the technology.
Give me a flipping analog preamp and some microphones and a drum kit. I can make it work. Turn it into one of these things, and I'm just struggling.
Let's see. Ed says, "Oh bums! I didn't realise they were pre-order only.
They are.
On my way to order them now. Thank you, Ed. Yes, we want to get the pre-orders in.
If you look
And
on that piece of paper, there's a bit of information about it.
okay. Well, Nick logs in.
Sorry, I'm struggling to log in. I can't log in as usual.
I have the sheet of paper right here. Okay, here we go. So the Effectsmas tees, 2 brand new designs this year, specially hand drawn by the talented Thomas Bannon. They're really great, actually.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas.
for
They're
doing
really
that.
wonderful. This year, we're only making a limited number of each design. So if you've already pre-ordered, you're okay. We've got you covered. As a reminder, pre-order closes at midnight tonight. So get those pre-orders in, people. Yes, midnight tonight. For anyone else who wants one, we'll order a few extra in each size. But when they're gone, they're gone. So there you go. And another brand new tee design has just arrived. We call it Monotone.
Even though it has 4 colours, but there's only
Multi-tone.
one word of tone, you see. It's also a font called Monotone.
Oh, is it? It's very nice.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
Google font.
Is this one of yours?
Catherine came up with the concept.
Oh,
I merely polished
you're
the
merely the
turd.
vessel.
Thank you.
Sorry, it was a gift. I couldn't. I
The
couldn't.
turd or the tea?
Yeah, I couldn't. Not really.
G Barge says audio quality is very good. Noticed it right away.
Oh, thank you, G.
Thank you, G.
Well, you can thank a Neve 4081, so a Neve 1081 mic pre for that, and a bit of noise reduction thanks to Universal Audio.
Benjamin says, "Wow, it's a lot quieter, sounding great."
Well,
There you go.
I don't know what to say. It is really annoying when the horrifically expensive stuff
Sounds so
sounds so good.
Oh man. It's so funny because we've got a lot of friends with really amazing studios and you know, we've been used to plugins and that sort of stuff, and you walk into these studios and you see the real world versions of plugins and stuff.
All those things you've only ever seen on a screen in real life
and
3D.
We'd be forever taking the mickey out of people with a pod that says, "Oh, look, I've got a Vox at home," and turns it onto a Vox, and just go, "What are you doing?" But thinking, "Oh, it's all right. We don't need an 1176. We've got the plug-in." But then you hear the real thing. It's like, oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah, they are very good. Plugins are great, and at the end of the day, it does come down to how good you are at using this stuff. It's always the person at the end of the day.
Yes, of course.
But when the person is of limited ability, having the good stuff really helps. It really, really, really helps. So, yeah. I'm enjoying it. I find it very motivating when I like what I hear.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
So
anyway. I came in because I haven't been in for a couple of weeks, and I came in today, and Mick was sort of bouncy in a really good mood. He says, "Oh, you got to hear this," and he played me this track, and it's like, yeah, it really does sound wonderful. Angus McLennan says, "You can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter."
Indeed.
Yeah.
Dan and I are both pretty adept at that. For what it's worth.
Yeah.
We've
got the right angles.
Yeah.
Yeah. The latex gloves, everything.
Various glitter vats kicking around the place. Peter Goddard says, "The audio quality is so good I can hear my tinnitus." Thanks to Tom Trones for coming in.
Oh, yeah.
We did a show on hearing, and a lot of people really appreciated it. There was quite a lot of scared people in the comments, which the humorlessness of the world never ceases to amaze me. But, I guess it's no laughing matter, is it, if you have had hearing damage? But yeah, it was an interesting show.
Yeah,
it was a really interesting conversation. Yeah. Mike Litton is on. Only Tense is on. Hey legends, will the Reverb Spring enamel mug come back to the store? Not sure. Maybe we need to sell the current enamel mugs that we have first. Speaking of Only Tense, you know that gag?
No. Speaking of Only Tense.
Yeah, dude goes to the doctor and says, "I feel like a marquee in a wigwam." And he says, "You're too tense, mate." Oh, that's good. That's good.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Joe Morris, thank you for ordering your t-shirt. Fred Frederici is on. Hello, Fred. Dustin Thiessen is on. Can you tell us what pre's you're using? Yeah, they're 1081s in the Neve 4081 formats. And for guitars, we've got a 1076 DPX, which has the EQ section as well. We've also got a couple 1073 500 series modules. And I should really mention our Meris 440s that we've been using forever. Meris do 500 series pre's that are really, really, really good, and we will continue to use those as well.
Shout out to the guys at Meris. They're so good. They really know their stuff. I'm getting to grips with the LVX at the moment, which I have been for a while, but I've gone deep in because I'm going to show my new pedal board at some point soon.
Oh, wicked!
But
that'll be a good show.
It's like you can drive nice cars your whole life and get really good at driving nice cars, then jump into a Formula One and try and get a handle on it. It's like that.
Right.
It's like jumping into it'll get you from A to B, but
you got to drive it.
You got to drive the thing.
It's an interesting analogy. I've gone the other way. So while Dan was trying to learn the LVX, I tried to learn the H90, and I've just given up because it's there. I don't have any questions that it answers.
Yeah. Okay.
And yet, I will say again, and this has underlined my decision in every colour you wish to underline it in. I came in at the weekend. I set up a drum kit. I played a drum track. I did the bass and I did the guitars this morning. I mixed it this afternoon and it's done.
Yeah, beautiful.
Every single thing I used had physical things that gave me limited decisions.
Yeah, beautiful.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. And I didn't go, and give up and go and get a cup of coffee. I was like, This sounds ace.
Yeah. Well, so if I may indulge, the reason I've sort of gone full hog into the LVX. So we had an experience day here a few weeks ago, and I'm so sorry, I forget the name of the guy, but he was in here on my junior into the
Laney.
the Laney.
That would have been, I'll remember in a minute.
Yeah.
Because we posted about it on the social.
So he had this amazing pedal board with an LVX on there. And I said, oh, how are you going with it? You know, I've been struggling to get to grips with it. And then he showed me some things that he'd managed to do. And I'm like, okay, and the reason being I'm doubling down is because we start rehearsals tomorrow night for the new band with Paul Stacey.
Nice.
And there's no keys, 2 guitars, drums and bass, but we're doing stuff from Selling in England by the Pound, Genesis. We're doing some Radiohead and some original stuff, and some of the old synth textures and this sort of things that we're between Paul and I, and you know, and organ sounds and that. The LVX has enabled me to get rid of the H9, anything that all the octave pedals I used to use.
Yeah.
It's all in there.
So that's, I mean, that again, that makes the point, doesn't it? It has questions. Sorry, it has answers to questions that you have.
Yes.
I need to create this sound. It does it.
Yeah. But it does it in a way that before, to create like an organ sound, I had 3 things going.
Yeah.
To try and do that. Well, I can get it all done in the LVX. 90% of my straight delay sounds is the Otto.
Yeah.
In stereo going into the CXM. So for straight delay things, I love that the Otto for me is, as soon as I heard it, I was really moved.
Joey bought one actually.
Right.
He said, "What delays are you liking currently?" And I said, "Oh, this, and this." And
Yeah.
he just bought one on the spot.
Right.
So interesting to see if he tells us off next week. But
so that does the straight delay things, but for all of the extraneous, the sounds I was using the timeline for, like the shimmer and all that sort of stuff, but then I can go into it in much more detail, in a much more far out way.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to really get to grips with this thing, because it sounds great. So it's Meris.
Yeah.
But I love the fact they can do that, and then they can do a 500 series preamp. That just sounds amazing. You know, they've really got a handle on all the analog front end, on the really, I shouldn't say complex, but the like things with full on possibilities.
Well, it is complex.
You know.
I think it's okay to say complex.
Yeah. But no, I think they're doing very important work.
Complex doesn't have to mean unfriendly.
No, sure.
Yeah, you know, lots of things are complex, aren't they? And
Put it this way.
we put the time in.
I've been really inspired by what I've heard from people who've got to grips with it.
Nice.
Yeah, really good.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Eric Philsinger says, "What's up with the Supro behind you?" Nothing's up with it. It's really good. We're going to use it for tomorrow's filming. Dan's got an idea for a video which involves having 3 overdrive pedals, 3 gain pedals, and we're going to get into that, and we're going to use these 2 amps tomorrow.
I've discovered a trick. Not a trick, but a bit of a trick. It's really cool.
Yeah, so that's good. And we've been blasting our ears off the last few weeks, so we'll just get these amps to a nice working place rather than... There's a video coming up on Friday where we had the high watt cranked and a 1969 Laney Supergroup cranked, and that was good fun with a Rickenbacker and a Jaguar.
Oh man, so good.
So yeah, so we thought we'd just go back to Sensible Town for a minute. I know no reason to, but there we are. Okay, let us... Now this might seem a little weird because we are answering super chats from 2 weeks ago, and we feel duty bound to answer them because they are super chats, so
Yes.
we will answer them. So
Yeah,
without
indeed.
further ado, Steve Mass. Hello, Steve. If you're watching tonight, hope you are. Always good to hear from you. He wanted to give a shout out to Ty Tabor from King's X. Great player and great tones. Strat Elite into a solid state amp for much of his career.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know much about Ty Tabor actually.
No, it sort of missed me.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people yeah, sort of being in Australia, it sort of passed me by, but he's always in conversations about great guitar tone. There's always someone will bring Ty up.
Is he American?
I believe so.
Yeah. Again, there you go. That shows
They're all American, aren't they?
the sheer height of the ignorance. I'll tell you who's not American.
Who's that?
Susumu Tamara.
You going to say?
Dan and I are about to do a show on all the hubris that's going on about the Maxon stroke Ibanez SD9 Sonic Distortion. Ibanez SD9 from the 9 series. So we've got the new Vemiram one, we've got an original 80s SD9, and we've got an Analog Man SD9. And sort of completing the picture is the latest Scott Henderson SH9, I think it's called, made by TWA Pedals. So I emailed TWA and said, which is owned by Godlike Distributing in the US, and said, can you send us one to use? And he said, I can do better than that. We have a relationship with Susumu Tamara.
That's very kind of them.
Who, some of you may know, is the originator of the Ibanez 9 series, and therefore is the originator of the Ibanez Tube Screamer and the TS-808 for what it's worth. So I've sent him some questions via email. His English, by his own admission, isn't fantastic, so he didn't really want to do a video chat, but he is going to gen us up on the SD9, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
I had to sort of grovel via email to tell him how much how pleased we all are that the Tube Screamer exists. But, how does the SD9 differ? What was its intentions? Blah, blah, blah. So that will be a good show.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's not American.
No, there
He's
you go.
Japanese.
Yes. Ty Tabor is American. Mississippi.
That tangent actually had some serious content to it, Dan.
It did. We're just weaving those lines like pros.
Obviously, just to cap that off, Maxon originated the designs for the Ibanez pedals. That's how it worked. Maxon was for the domestic market. Ibanez had the export license via Hoshino Gaki, and that's how that worked. So they're the same pedals, basically. Most people know this. If you don't, maybe that'll help. Jeremiah McCann. Hello, Jeremiah.
Hello, Jeremiah.
Okay. Oh, God. Can you explain amps with negative feedback and how it affects tone and feel? Also, come to the States.
Would love to come to the States. It'd be really fun. Negative feedback basically sends a amount of signal from specific in a specific frequency range, very important, back to the input, and it gives you a more stable, less distortion, more stable sound, basically. The idea of no negative feedback, and they're amps taunted like the AC30 and those sorts of things. They can give you lovely harmonics and that sort of stuff, but they can get a bit unruly when you start to turn them up. The amplifiers that have got a nice negative feedback circuit tend to be a bit more controllable. It's the easiest way that I think I can sort of word it, because they're all different. They're all the designs, they're all a little bit different, so they all do a bit different thing. But you can't just put that character down to just being negative feedback.
Yeah.
But that's the idea, is that having a certain frequency range fed back to the input is going to give you a bit more stability.
Yeah. So famous amps that have negative feedback is most of them. Certainly post Fender Black Panel era. So one of the changes between Tweeds and then the Tolex amps, so late 50s into the early to mid 60s, was they sort of had less and less and less negative, more and more and more negative feedback. So Tweed Deluxe, for example, no negative feedback as far as I'm aware.
Right.
Vox AC30, no negative feedback.
Yeah. And it's that thing, right? As soon as they start going, and they can become a bit unruly. But as soon as the Black Panel silver panel, brown panel amplifiers.
Yeah, it was a continuing transition, and I don't know enough detail to be able to say for sure. But
Sure.
one of the differences between a Tweed Deluxe and a Deluxe Reverb is that Gordon Rankin's on. He'll probably give you a really good description.
So Gordon has chimed in. Thank you, buddy. He says
Hello,
feedback
Gordon.
will reduce gain and make it more stable,
Yeah.
and will lower the output impedance in what we call damping.
Oh,
Usually
interesting.
less noise as well.
Okay.
Yes, amazing. If anyone doesn't know, Gordon is an amazing designer of all things audio, and is part of
Canine owner.
indeed, and part of TPS Brains Trust. So thank you, buddy.
Yeah. It's a bit like, cathode bias and fixed bias and other things that we always talk about with amplifiers. If you, as Dan hinted earlier, if you take it in isolation and say, what difference does this make? Yeah, you could probably talk about it, but it's really the sum total of how it works in the whole amplifier
Absolutely.
design that really makes the difference. So
Yeah. David Rosthatter says the brown amps do have negative feedback.
there we
you
are.
go.
There we are. And of course, if we're in Jim Lill's world, none of this makes any difference whatsoever. So yeah. My thing seems to have stopped. I wonder if it's logged me out again. Of course it has. So
Has it
boring.
really?
Sometimes it's confusing, Dan.
It's okay. Welcome to where I live.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. This is annoying. There we
So
go.
this is and Gordon has said again, the Deluxe does have feedback. Most of these amps have minimal feedback. Some say space and air is diminished with more feedback. It's a really interesting way to put that, and sort of
I would agree.
yeah. When you get to know the difference, it's a really good way to describe
Yeah.
it. That
Yeah.
because there's that harmonic thing, especially in those frequencies that give you the sense of
Yeah.
of air.
But if I want my huge, clean 2-rock tone,
Yeah. Oh,
I want negative feedback.
nothing like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So there we are. Max on, Max off, says Dustin Thiessen. Thank you. Sol Virgo says, have you invited Philip Sace to the show? He's in the UK this week, and I have to admit that I think Dan sent me an email ages ago from his manager saying, get in touch, and I never did. So maybe we'll see if we can
Be great to
do
reach
it
out. And see.
absolute last minute as usual. He's probably super busy doing magazines and stuff, but I will reach out, and it would be lovely to see Philip again.
Yeah, I've never met him.
Yeah,
I'd
he's
love to
just
meet-
such a lovely dude. Gave me an Oxfaz years ago.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, dude, give him a call.
I know. And apologies that we just aren't a bit more on it with that stuff. All good. Right, let's hurry up. Let us hurry up. Albus Band. Hello, Aaron.
G'day, mate.
He says, Sir Dennis Eaton Hogg was knighted for founding Hogwood, a summer camp for pale young boys. In owing to that royalty, what is your Mount Rushmore? That's 4 of bands. Many thanks for being you.
Oh,
Thank you for being you, mate.
okay.
Mount Rushmore bands.
Not much for bands. Okay. XTC, Crowded House, Radiohead, and I'm going to throw. Oh boy, there's a lot of ties in there. I'm going to throw in. Let's do. Can't do your. Do you do yours? Let me do the tiebreaker in my head.
Beatles. Absolutely. And like if there's a Mount Rushmore and then something above Mount Rushmore, that's where the Beatles would be.
Mm-hmm.
Just head and shoulders above anything else that's ever existed. And then I think then it gets tough because then you go, do you go for most influential or the bands you love the most? And
Bands you love the most.
I'm going to go for the ones I love the most.
Yeah, totally.
And that might include Counting Crows. And it changes from period to period, doesn't it? Because the bands I love now aren't the bands I loved then.
Yeah.
And I tend to like solo artists.
Yeah.
I've been on a massive Sean Colvin binge just recently.
Oh, wow, nice.
Listening to all my old Sean Colvin records, because I just think there's Neil Finn, right? Male songwriter of his generation, and she is his equal as far as I'm concerned.
Nice. Wow.
To me, she's like the female, not that it's about gender, but anyway, she is Neil Finn's equivalent in the modern idiom of fantastic songwriters.
Yeah.
Anyway, bands, wasn't it? So Beatles, I'm not going to put Led Zeppelin in now. I've never been a Led Zeppelin fan.
Interesting.
Because of
Oh, really?
the singer bloke.
Robert.
Yeah.
Roger Waters.
If it was for the drummer, if it was for John Bonham and John Paul Jones, they'd be up there.
Yeah, right.
But the other two, not so much. Cream.
Mm.
Oh God, it's impossible.
It's very tricky.
It's impossible.
I am with you with the solo artist thing, but I'm going to also go for Biffy Clyro.
Oh, okay, nice.
If I had, and say Beatles, I absolutely love them. I listen to them once a year.
Do you?
I'll put the White Album on at least once a year.
Yeah.
And then a smattering of other things, and I just think they're amazing. But I would listen to Crowded House like every day of the week before I put a Beatles tune on.
Yeah.
And that just might be the music that wasn't around when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, Crowded House, XTC, Biffy Clyro, and Radiohead. If they were the four bands that I had to listen to for the rest of my life, I wouldn't be, I feel like I was gutted. However, there's so much music there with those four bands. It'd be, it'd be a long time till I got bored.
I'm sure I'm missing someone else. I tend to listen to more solo artists. I tend to listen to more solo artists, is the truth.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great question though, mate.
Yeah,
Thank you.
nice one, Aaron. Moving right along there. Duncan Plexico, he says,
mate.
hello. Hi, DNM. I have a Vox AC15 head coming my way.
Come on.
Any suggestions for tube updates and a speaker cab? Thanks and happy Halloween, which it was.
I'm assuming it's a new one. And if it's a new one, I think they come with JJs. And they're absolutely fine. Now, see, the valve thing is really interesting. The annoying things about valves, you know how you've had this revelation with all the preamps and stuff. Years ago, when I had my 2-Rock Jet, Simon Law came over and he had a massive box of valves, and we sat down for like 3 hours just trying in different power valves, different preamp valves, and every set of valves did something, turned the amp into something else. You know, it is a rabbit hole, and it's really fun if you want to go that far. For example, I discovered that with my AC30 and indeed with my matchless, I've got to use an old Mullard GZ34 rectifier valve. The rectifier valves in the old AC30s, and indeed the design of the matchless is so close that those rectifier valves are right on the edge, and often they're the first thing to go. But the old Mullards, I've had the old Mullard in my old Vox after blowing 2 new ones. Stuck a Mullard in there like 15 years ago and never had a problem with it. So things like that, were really important. Man, the JJs. Long story short, the JJs would be absolutely fine. If you've got an amplifier with an EF86 input valve, so I don't know what the AC15 head that you've got. I've got an old AC10 with the EF86, and the EF86 has so much gain that it only takes a small change in the valve to make a massive difference. Bless him, Gordon Rankin sent me an EF86, which is magic. But the 12AX7s or the ECC 83s, the military ones, there's still a difference. But if you just get a solid, nice solid set of EL as 12AX7s or ECC 83s, then yeah, you'll be fine. But I'm very reluctant to tell people to go down that, because once you start, it's a.
I was talking to Johnny Elliott, the Brelliot overdrive pedal that we've got, which is fantastic, by the way. Brelliot pedals. Johnny came in to just drop in, and he is Mr. AC30.
Okay.
He really, really knows them upside down and inside out. He techs them for a lot of people who use them, and he was saying just how finicky the whole thing is with the value of the cathode resistor and all of that. And he was saying he doesn't like JJs, and some other people really like JJs, and etc, etc, etc. It's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so hard. The good news is EL84s aren't tremendously expensive in the way that some other tubes can be.
Yeah, so you do need 4 of them.
Yeah, you could try only 2 in a 15.
In a 15, only 2. That's true.
Yeah, so you could just get some JJs, some whatever, and some whatevers. See if you can notice much of a difference.
Yeah,
because obviously you don't have to have it rebiased because it's cathode biased.
Yeah. It is worth it. Grab a couple of pairs. The other thing that I find really interesting is that I would often, with the Vox, I would just grab, instead of getting matched quartet, I would grab any old EL84 that I had lying around and just shove them in.
Yeah.
And because I read this really interesting article with Eddie Van Halen, who said he did the same thing. And then you get this sort of little offset mismatches, and it actually can sound amazing.
Interesting.
It's about it decreases efficiency, and the amp works a little bit harder, and surprise, surprise, amazing things start to happen.
Yeah. I'm just seeing what people are saying about that. New people are saying they like the new tongue soles. I don't know. Good luck, Duncan. Cab wise, Dan and I are just forever loving the Celestion Alnico Blue with an AC15. It's the sound.
Magical.
I mean, not all blues are created equal. And to be fair, ours has got a greenback and sounds pretty good.
Indeed.
So, and if you look at the price difference between a greenback and a blue, that might make the mind up for you. But yeah, or if there are in the US, you've got more kind of boutique speaker makers. So might be that you can get something that's made in the US that maybe, because a lot of people talk about Celestion's quality control, but then the blues are made in the UK, I think, still. So I don't know. It's a crapshoot, is speakers.
I'm going to interrupt this broadcast to bring you a message from our sponsors. Patrons. I thought you're doing countdown.
I'm just doing general background music.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
So patrons, congratulations to David in Strathallan in Scotland, who was the winner of October's giveaway, which was the Wampler gearbox signed by Andy Wood.
Signed by Andy Wood.
Signed by Andy Wood.
Yes.
If you can find an unsigned one, it's worth an absolute fortune.
That was always the Jim Marshall gag. Yeah. May he rest in peace. If you could find a genuine unsigned Jim Marshall poster, it's worth a fortune. We're not laughing at Jim. If you went to trade shows, Jim was always there signing posters.
Yeah.
Because he was full of fans, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Bless him.
My first trade show I ever went past the Marshall booth, and there was a small of stature elderly gentleman in there signing these posters, and I just went, "That's it."
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful guy.
Congratulations, David.
Yes.
And is there a new giveaway, Dan?
There is a new giveaway. There's not one. There's not 3. There's 2. So for November,
that is a great line.
The Patron giveaway, kindly donated by the lovely folks at Jam Pedals, we have 2 Ripley Falls going to 2 new homes. So we'll have 2 winners this month. We've got different colours as well. Now, astonishing.
Did you hear the syncopation?
I did. It was wonderful. Astonishing pedals. So they're a phaser and a chorus in the same pedal. They're brilliant. So, active patrons, look out for news of this and a link to enter in your inboxes later this week. And that was a word from our sponsors.
Isn't this
Boing.
t-shirt nice, Dan?
It's very nice.
Get that from that pedal show store. Look at that. Oh, yeah.
So, tone. We need to do this series. Tone, and then semitone.
One. How many words can we get? One.
Ton.
Ton.
On.
On. That's number one. Anyway, yeah, so if you're a patron, look out in your inbox. 2 winners this month.
Very good.
Thanks to the lovely people at Jam, because they are lovely people. And Dan probably said this, hands down my favourite chorus, with a phaser to boot.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. Really beautiful.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, moving along. Dudes, says Rhys Jones. The UA Dream buzzing Universal Audio Dream. It's a reverb pedal.
Mm-hmm.
Buzzing that disappears when strings or foot switches are touched.
Yes.
Could a ground lift fix it? Powered by a Mr. Universe.
So, possibly, as long as what you've got going into the Mr. Universe is enough, and it sounds like you need to check the earth on your patch cables, whatever else you're plugging it into. So, yeah, seen this before where if there's something with the chassis that isn't grounded, and then when you touch it, you are grounding the chassis of the pedal.
Right.
So I would say check your cables and make sure that's all okay. Yeah. It
seems highly unusual.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Highly unusual. Process of elimination, obviously. So take everything else out of the equation and be sure that it is that's causing the problem.
Yeah.
Sounds obvious to say it, but so often we don't do that.
So, for example, if you've got everything in a line, right, and one of your cables has a dodgy earth, then everything, let's say that your cable from the amplifier and then, has got a bad earth in it, then everything this side of it won't be earthed properly, won't have continuity, and vice versa if you've got a broken earth on the other side. So if you've got a patch cable that's got a bad earth, then the earth from the guitar, which is the other side of the AC signal, so you've got 0 volts and where the upper voltages in the AC signal happens in there, and then the earth is at should be at 0 volts. If that is broken and that's floating and you get that air, when you touch the strings and you touch the pedal, then you're giving it the earth through your person. So yeah, I'd say check your cables would be my first port of call.
It's always a cable.
It's always a cable.
It is astounding how often that is true. Yeah. We haven't said thanks to BV tonight. BV, thank you. And sorry for all the disruption, and to everyone as well that our internet has caused. So BV, thank you very much for moderating and being here as always.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Sean Gerolimatos. Hello, Sean. He says, hi, DNM. Thank you for the joy you bring to this community.
Oh, bless you.
Bringers of joy, Dan. I'm digging the new Ask a Question video format. Yeah, we've done 2. We want to do more. We haven't done more. Could you speak a bit on using a boost after gain stages versus at the very end of the chain?
Aha. Yes. We can do.
I'll give you a specific reason why you might want your boost at the end rather than after your gain stages. So what Sean is saying is, let's say your signal chain is, for example, fuzz, overdrive, boost, delay, reverb, amp. Should you have your boost before your delay and reverb, or what about having it after? Now, if you want that boost to just lift your whole sound and make everything louder, the place to have it probably is at the end, right after your delays and reverbs. If you put it before your delays and reverbs, what can happen is when you stand on the boost, it boosts the signal into the delay and the reverb, and depending on how your pedals are set, you can get too much effect. So it'll just make the effect louder.
Yeah.
Which is why Messrs. Two Andys that we know,
Yes.
Andy Wood and Andy Timmons,
Yes.
it's one of the reasons they have expression pedals for their wet effects, because as the gain structure changes in front of all of that, they can vary the amount of wet signal that they have. Now, there are other reasons too, but that is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
It also depends on the nature of the boost, because sometimes with the boost you want to add a little bit of gain, a little bit of compression, a bit of sizzle. And if you're doing that, having that at the end of the delay and reverb will make your delays and reverbs sizzly. So if you have the boost at that point, then it could be an issue. Whereas having that at the end of the gain stages, then it's lovely and everyone's happy. The problem then is you need to make sure that you're not driving the signal into the wet effects too hard.
Also, if your boost does have a bit of crunch on it, you are then putting reverb and delay into overdrive.
Exactly.
And you might love that. So it could mean, is that what you just said? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought you said before.
No. So if you put it at the end and you've got a bit of crunch on it, then the delays and reverbs are going into distortion
And be crunchy.
Yeah. And generally, it can sound great, but most people, I would say, prefer having, if you're running it like that, having it at the end of the gain stages, then running that into delays and reverbs, as long as they have enough headroom and as long as you can control the wet level.
There are two boosts. I tend not to be a boost user really, or I use them for reasons that a lot of people don't use them for. I use a boost predominantly to add a load of volume and a buffer, so that when I turn my volume down on the Strat, it stays bright, and it's a very different experience than not having it there. There's two boosts I use after everything: Heavy Water, Thorpe, I'll put that on the end all day of the week, and an EP boost.
Yeah, right.
Really like it just on the end after everything.
Sure.
But pretty much anything else that has, not to say those pedals don't have character, but some of the other boosts that I tend to like tend to have a bit more grit, like the Bad Bob, for example, Analog Man Bad Bob. We're making a show on this tomorrow, actually. The Mythos Argo, which is a clean octave blend pedal. If you turn the octave blend down, it's an absolutely brilliant boost.
Amazing.
But the last place you'd want that is after everything, if you decide then to use the octave. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Good luck, Sean.
Yes, bud.
Whit Anderson.
Woo.
Andy Wood. One of the top 5 TPS shows for me, he says, and I learned a bunch. I married into a bluegrass family. Name drop for seldom seen. As in
lovely.
SCENE. Knowing nothing about it beforehand, it changed much in my playing and approach. Much love from Woo.
How lovely.
Yeah. Just
It was...
harmony, melody.
Andy has been... Bless him. I've been talking to him on and off for a long time. But I've wanted to get him on the show. I started watching Woodshed, and some of the stuff that he would just pull out of the bag was like, man, it just blew me away. And actually being in the room with him when he would just, growing up when I heard Too Many Notes, which is a Steve Morse tune. It's with Dixie Dregs, I think he played that with. But anyway, Steve Morse playing guitar. And he goes, oh yeah, I used to play that. And it was like, it's just the facility. Just it's so freeing. And one thing I love to say, how do you practice to get the goodie? Because I don't practice. I just play all day, every day. And I find something I want to play and I'll just play. But it doesn't look at it as practicing, because he every minute that he has his hands on the strings, he's happy, he's playing, and he's just loving it. It's like really, yeah. So really inspiring day with Andy. It's really wonderful.
Yeah. And yeah, talk about just next level, isn't it?
Amazing. Someone who has put the hours in, not just into having that incredible facility that he's got, but understanding every single process, every gain stage, the way that his amps are reacting, the way that his pickups. So he picked up Red and he played it and he goes, you love the neck pickup in Red. But he played the bridge pick and goes, yeah, the bottom 3 magnets aren't as spanky as the ones in mine, but the top 3 magnets are a bit spankier. And I'm like, wow. And then he picked up his and it was like, it's exactly what he said. It was, so he's listening all the time. It's such an amazing skill.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Dog ears, as they say.
Yeah.
Andrew Jones. Hello, Andrew.
G'day, mate.
He says, D&M birthday greetings from Andrew and Joy.
Oh,
Hello,
lovely.
Andrew and Joy. This was 2 weeks ago, but anyway, he said it was a lovely surprise, even though you said I was 91. Sorry, Andrew. My first time doing wet dry this week. Dr. Z, Maz 18 and a 2-rot wet. No going back now. Using the Epic G3 to initiate this feat.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, it is hard to go back after you've heard it, actually.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Joe Halliday. Hi, Joe.
G'day,
He
mate.
says, hello, guys. I hope you're well. We are. Thank you. Last weekend's guitar show was a blast. There have been a couple just recently. He said, shame you couldn't make it. I finally got to meet some of the TPS community in person, including Mr. Carl Longbottom.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. It would be great to do more of those things, but I don't know, weekends are a problem. It sounds terrible, doesn't it, to say it, but...
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like...
If it's a weekday, I could do it, probably.
Yeah.
Weekends are like...
I find that the weeks are so crazy that I'm okay Saturdays, but it's on a Sunday, I'm wrecked. I can do nothing.
Right. Yeah, I don't have that. Last month I've worked one day each weekend just to try and catch up. So then you want a day of not doing anything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because on Saturdays I'm still going.
Yeah. I did 18,000 steps yesterday.
Really? That's amazing.
I've succumbed, despite all my moaning about obsolete digital crap. I've got the Apple Watch, and I've become. Catherine lent me, because my watch needs to be repaired. So Catherine lent me her Apple Watch, and I've got addicted to the numbers, the exercise numbers.
Right.
Completely addicted.
That's great.
So I went and got an Apple Watch.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts. I don't know it talking to me and all that kind of stuff, but I like the rings.
Yeah.
You know.
I do know.
I paid for my groceries on it yesterday.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
It's totally weird. I'm like, this is the future. And then my dad called me. I'm like, I'm speaking to you from my watch.
Calling our cars.
Yeah. I hate the idea of it, but it is quite practical.
Yeah, Dick Tracy, come on.
Anyway, Shawnee is Cubs fan 1 says, good morning from Chicago. I met someone from Chicago this week.
Sweet home.
Yeah. I went to see Warren Haynes and Government Mule.
There you go.
At the Palladium. Jim, thank you if you're watching this for the ticket. Oh my God, I'd never seen him before. It was killer.
Wow.
Real, I know it might seem strange to those of you who know Government Mule and who know Warren and who know the sort of jam band scene. I'm naive, ignorant to most of it. And just to watch him go for it was killer. Loud as hell.
Come on.
I think there were 3 Leslies on stage. Warren was using a Soldano and something else, a red amp, which I didn't catch what it was. And I had a chat with him afterwards. What a lovely guy. So hopefully he might come on the show next year when he's back touring. But yeah, it was really great. It was really great.
I'm trying to find there's a young guitar player who I follow. I sent you a link to him.
Dylan Adams?
Dylan, no.
Slide player?
No.
Oh.
Someone else. and it's like super tasty, beautiful feel. And he's doing these. His name's Arhen Shreve.
Oh yeah, I know.
And he's playing these little clubs and stuff, and he sounds just so good. Like a Victory, I think it's the white Richie Kotzen.
Oh, nice. That's a killer amp.
Amazing.
It doesn't kill people. It's just really good.
But anyway, I'm thinking, so like his rhythm sections are always flipping killer, and he's there doing his thing, and it looks like these tiny little clubs. He was doing an outdoor gig the other day, and there's a few people spattered around, but right next to him's a real Leslie cabinet. So the gigs that he's doing, people are lifting Leslie cabs up and putting them, so it's really serious.
I'm going to interrupt these messages to remind you all that you need to get your pre-orders in for this year's Christmas tea. This is Let It Tone, Let It Tone, Let It Tone, which is very nice. It says it's a Christmas tree with Let It Tone on. But our particular, this is just a bit of genius. Look, with apologies to Chris Rea, driving tone for Christmas. There we go.
It's so good.
It's good, isn't it?
Really good.
You need one of those. And it's pre-order, so please pre-order one, because today is the last day you can pre-order. We may have some kicking around, but the chances are if you want one,
you need to get in.
They'll be sold out. So if you pre-order today, you'll get your tea before Christmas. No matter where in the world you are, unless you're in somewhere, various bits of South America, Borneo, other bits, but like America, Canada, Europe, Far East, you'll be fine.
Close East.
Australia.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
I'm taking all the Australian orders with me on the 8th. I'm going to hand deliver them.
Santa Dan.
Yeah, indeed.
Anyway, Shawnee is Cubs fan 1 did have a question, and it is for Mick. How did you acquire your Highway 1 Texas Telecaster? What pickups are in it? I got it when I was at Guitarist magazine. It's been heavily modded over the years. There's a bare knuckle, like their Blackguard type pickup in the bridge, and there is a TV Jones Filtertron in the neck, and they're out of phase, so you get that wicked in between. But I sold the guitar to someone who came on an experience day, who was
Derek, Clive, Stephen, John,
I kind of want to
James.
say Stephen. I'm really sorry, I
Orville.
can't remember. If you're in the chat, please
Clifford.
let me know. And I sold it. I wasn't really playing it anymore because obviously Telecaster is Dan's guitar.
It's very kind that you leave me that space for the telly. It is very kind. Because every time I hear Mick play my telly, I get depressed.
Oh, silly boy. I'm just trying to remember, because he's quite often in the comments, and I'm so sorry I can't remember because I'm just rubbish. Anyway, yeah, I sold it, so I no longer have it. But yeah, it had a bare knuckle, like traditional telly type in the bridge, and a TV Jones Filtertron. They were out of phase, so you got that lovely quack in the middle.
Yeah. He actually makes really nice. I know that the bare knuckle pickups are known for, doing the heavier stuff. They're really great. But actually, some of his vintage models that he does, far out, man.
He knows his stuff.
Really knows his stuff. I'd love to get him on the show actually at some point.
Yeah. Actually, I have an idea about pickups. I did text Matt, but I think I've got the wrong number for him. Monty's Matt.
Right.
I've got an idea. Where's it gone? It's not here. There's a PRS Silver Sky SE. I'm going to put a humbucker in the bridge.
Oh, come on.
But I might put a mini humbucker in the bridge.
Oh, come on.
And I wanted to ask Matt if he had any experience with that in Strat type guitars, whether a mini humbucker is too skinny sounding, or whether it would sound great.
No,
it can't be any skinnier than a Strat bridge pickup, right?
I know Owen Barry had a mini humbucker in the bridge of a S type guitar.
Did he?
Sounded absolutely immense.
I mean, it will mean a bit of routing and a new pick guard, but that's all right. I'm up for that.
Be really fun.
Yeah, because I do, funnily, in regards to what we were talking about with the SD9, been listening to quite a lot of Scott Henderson and Landau, and they both been through periods, both been through periods where that trem is really light on the guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a 2-point or a 6-1. Anyway, but I like mine. I can't. If I'm doing like normal playing, it can't float. I can't have it floating because I just can't. But to be in a different mood, having a guitar where it floats.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the PRS has got the 2-point, and it's a nice light guitar. It's nice and resonant. I don't love the sound of the bridge pickup as it is, so I figure it could be a good candidate.
Well, so what I love about that, you're never going to pick up that PRS on the bridge pickup while you've got your 61 there, right?
Not in with respect, not in a million years.
Right, and it's exactly the same reason why I had that done.
Yeah.
Because while I've got red and while I've got the 65, I'm just not going to use any other telly for that thing.
Yeah.
But, okay, put a couple of
Wide
those
ranges.
in, and it's killer. So, I love that idea. It's really fun.
We'll give it a go. Matt Swanton says, Firebird mini humbucker in the bridge. You'll thank me later. Yeah, Firebird pickup different from other Gibson mini humbuckers.
Yeah.
So that's a good shout. Thank you. P90 in the bridge says guitar repair and building program, Red Wing main. Yeah, I don't want a P90. Too noisy. And it's specifically a humbucker I want for that mid-range thing that a bridge humbucker in a Strat does, which, a Tron, says Steve Cassidy, which will be presumably a Powertron, I guess. Stole the idea from Sean Tubbs.
I saw Sean Tubbs. There's a video of him playing the other day. Every time I see him play, I'm always surprised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
Something, and I've heard him play all the time. There's always something fresh and that comes out of his playing. Man, he's so amazing.
And it is right to mention Sean in the context that we were just talking about, Sean Tubbs, because he's quite heavily influenced by Scott Henderson and Landau. And that permeates his playing too. You know, they do that sort of faux slide thing, and it's such a cool sound. It's such a cool sound. Matthew Collis Long, evening groins, he says. On my way to a first full band practice this evening.
Oh, brilliant! Well done, mate.
First time I've been in this in a band this millennium. Wish me luck. Love you all.
Amazing.
Good,
well done.
Good luck, mate. Hope you have a great one. Miguel Casagrande. Michael Bighouse. I want to be called that. That's what it means.
That's really good.
That's what it means.
I love that you pulled that out of there. Mr. Big House.
Hi, gents. I recently picked up a pristine 65 Bassman. Any experience with a brown box, and does it have any noticeable impact on tone and feel? Actually, I have an apology to make, and it's to John Priest from Peach Guitars, who sent me a text saying that he sells them. It's a really cool, like
a filter thing.
No,
it regulates the voltage.
Yeah,
going to the amplifier.
It's basically the Eddie Van Halen thing, isn't it? It's a Variac.
Sort of.
Right.
It doesn't. So the Variac can reduce the voltage greatly. I think the brown box can reduce it by about 10%.
Oh, okay.
But what it does is it gives you super consistent voltage going to the amplifier. So no matter where you are. So one thing that's really important, right, with valve amps, if you take a meter and you check out the voltage that's coming out of your sockets from venue to venue, they vary so much, and that has a massive impact on the way that the amp is biased. One thing about something like the brown box that gives you consistency, people that complain about the amps, tone changing from venue to venue, obviously a lot of it's to do with the room. However, a lot of it is to do with the voltage. And
Warren Haynes was moaning about that because
Right.
he flew two heads over and he said they just don't sound the same on 240 with transformers.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So the brown box is a really fantastic way to give you consistency. It's a really wonderful product.
Okay, so yeah, with apologies to John Priest at Peach Guitars, I will go back to you, John, and say yes, please send us one. It would be good to try it. Peach Guitars sell them, obviously. Wes Chilton has one. He said it's a must-have for vintage amps. Willie Wilson says it's a must-have for vintage amps. Wes Chilton says he has a brown box with his 67 Deluxe reverb.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sounds like we have some learning to do.
Mm.
So did you say it's a filter as well?
It will do all of that.
So it sits
the main
between
thing is-
the mains and your amp.
Yeah.
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 Nice. Does it have any noticeable impact on tone or feel? John Priest really loves it. People we've spoken to really love it, so we'll have to get one and decide.
The main thing for me is it can do, and you can find you've got these ranges. I think it goes from like plus or minus 10%. But you can find, like, so for example, a lot of the old amplifiers that were designed for European voltage at 230, and you'll see on the back of, you've got those, what are those old Bolgan plugs, and you can pick which tap of the power transformer.
Yep.
And you see a lot of them say the maximum one is 230. Now, when we're using 240 here, and that's fine, but if the amp's actually been designed for 230, which is more common in Europe, then actually being able to reduce the voltage by 5%, so the amp's actually getting 230. And it'll sit in a very different place. It's really, really
super
clever.
Interesting. Lots of people, Todd Roy, Moon, Justin Garcia, I think, Matt Parker, all coming in on it, saying good things about the brown box. So,
it's a very cool thing.
Yes, Matt Parker. Matt, thank you for this clarification. Matt says if it hasn't been mentioned, Warren's red amp is a Homestead made by Peter McMahon, formerly of Diaz Amps.
Right.
There you go, Homestead.
Zero Amplification says brown box is not a filter, it's just a voltage adjustment.
Okay.
Which is a pretty cool thing.
Nice. Tom V, loads of people coming in saying it's a good machine. G Barge, hello G,
G'day,
nice
G.
to hear from you. He says, dear gents, I'm heading down to engage with some red light fever. Aye. Not that kind of red light, maybe. It's quite mental exercise, pitting left brain versus right, and ultimately relaxing enough so the outcome masquerades as natural. What's your approach? Cheers.
Sorry, I was playing Saturday Night Fever, which is the closest I could get to red light fever.
How do you get over red light fever? Yeah, you're right about. Depends how you're using the terms left brain, right brain. We might say being in the now or psychological time. You might say system 1, system 2. Whatever terms you use and whatever frame of reference you have, you've got a bit of your brain that's involved in thinking and being frightened and all of that, and you've got a bit of your brain that's involved in not doing those things and just doing what needs to be done. So how do you get into that state? One way is to be prepared. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down to record and realised I don't actually know what I'm playing, or at least I haven't played it enough to be loose with it where it doesn't matter. So I'm figuring it out and I'm going, oh yeah, it's that next, and you can hear all of that tension. I did it today. I had to record some guitars quickly today, which you'll hear in the video. The guitars were literally, spent all my time doing drums and bass, and the guitars are like, oh, don't worry about that. And it's hesitant playing. Because, do you remember Paul Stacey said to us once, I think it was playing a Tom Jones song, and the part wasn't hard. It wasn't a hard part at all, but it required effort and it required being connected, and he spent 10 hours going over this part, simple part, so that it became total muscle
Totally
memory.
instinct. Yeah, sure.
Feel. So I would say, number one, know what you're playing. Or if it's an improv, be suitably across it that you're free to improvise and you're not thinking.
Yep.
But I think that's it. You've got to get your thinking brain out of the game and get your doing brain, your playing brain engaged. And I'm saying that like I find it easy. I don't.
Yeah.
You?
I'm getting better at it, but it is. I loved what Pete Thorne said. Posing the question, he was out here playing the classic rock show, and he's got to step up and play Van Halen and these absolutely like classic. It's called classic rock show, but these solos that inspired all of us to want to pick up a guitar. And he's out the front, playing all this stuff. It's like, and also when you think about the artists he's played with, and stepping up and playing those really noticeable things. And we said to him, how do you do it? How do you get out in front of all those people and do it? And he says, well, he used to struggle with it, but then he realised that it was a selfish thing on his part
to worry about it.
Yeah, it's like, because they're not. The people are there to enjoy the moment, and what he wants to do is just be with the people enjoying the moment and give them what they need to enjoy the moment. So he realised it wasn't about him; it was about delivering what was necessary.
It's about the people, man.
It was about the people, and he said as soon as he got that into his head, it just sort of shifted, and he could just really enjoy it. Yeah. Being in the moment, just delivering what was required for the song.
But there are a lot of crossovers. You said you just using left and right as a term of reference. Yeah, I totally get that. And it's a frame of reference that everyone understands, so it's useful. There's so much in common with other things that we might call mindfulness, meditation. Again, lots of words that we can use. They're all designed to do that. They're designed to get you out of your thinking brain. And it all sounds very sort of hippy-dippy and everything, but for me, creativity only exists there. It only exists when your thinking brain isn't engaged. Because if you're thinking, you're not being creative, you're thinking. How you do it is hard, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
What am I? I'm going to be 50 in March, and I did my first proper gigs when I was 14, I would say. Gigged a lot from then on. So in 35 years of gigging, when you access that moment of being completely connected, they are relatively few and far between.
Yeah. It's a numbers game as well, though, isn't it?
Throw enough shit at the wall and some will stick.
Yeah. Well, put it this way. In however many years that we've been doing this, and like we've noticed it with, we've got to a point now we're quite comfortable sitting here and just playing and sort of forgetting about the camera and just having fun.
True.
But if you remember what it was like at the start,
yeah,
one of the wonderful things about how accessible recording gear is now for everyone is that if you want to get better at recording, record.
Yeah.
Because there's two things that happen. One, you've got to get used to the red light goes on and you're recording. The other thing is you've got to get used to listening back to what you've played. And it's very often a very different experience. What you think you've played to what's actually come out when you hear it back. So if you're worried about that at all, just grab yourself GarageBand and start practicing recording.
Yeah, start doing it. Someone has said here, Top Low Telly says Bookovac gets better when the red light comes on. It's
of course it does.
To be fair,
of course it does.
I don't want this to sound self-aggrandizing or whatever. I play far better when I'm gigging than I do sat in here.
Oh yeah.
And more connected and maybe that's because there's a familiarity. So to echo what Dan says, it's about familiarity, isn't it? The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Yeah, it's we all struggle with it though, G. Absolutely. Again, I'll say again, I recorded some guitars this morning and I'm like fumbling all over the place. So, yeah. Relaxation. Someone said they just do push-ups before, just to get you out of your head. Interestingly, whenever we have a guest on TPS, we always try and have lunch beforehand and chat. And just get some of the tension gone, get the pleasantries out of the way, get the chat going. We can all figure each other out. We know where we all sort of sit and stand. And it makes the conversation so much easier when we start going. I rather suspect it's the same, if you are in a red light situation, you might have, I don't know, an engineer or somebody running the desk or whatever it is, the recording situation, who you don't know very well, or they're a bit stressed because they don't know what they're doing. That's usually me. So those sorts of relationships need to just be calmed down.
Yeah, totally.
It's all human interaction, isn't it, at the end of the day? And if you're a bit nervous about what they think, or they're nervous because they need to get it and they don't want to go through loads of buggeration to
it's a head game.
Make it work.
The whole thing's a head game.
Yeah, well, talk to any great sports person.
Yeah.
Most people can achieve the fitness. Very few people can achieve the brain.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we've yacked on enough about that. It is fascinating. Good luck, G.
Yeah, good luck, mate.
Hope it went well, because this was 2 weeks ago. Jay Franz. Hey, DNM. When you record wet dry, how do you place both amps in the mix? In the centre or panned in a specific way? In a band recording context, do you place them differently? Thanks for all you do.
You can do whatever you like.
Yeah.
Honestly, the beautiful thing about wet dry is you can pan them right down the middle. As in, don't pan them. Have them mono right down the centre, and they'll still sound amazing. If you want a little bit of separation, fantastic. I'm coming around to either having hard left or hard right, or right down the middle, and nothing in between. I kind of, I don't know. There's something about a little bit here, a little bit there. But with the wet dry thing, once you've got a sound that you're inspired with, and that's the beautiful thing about wet dry, you can get that sound on stage that you just feel really comfortable with, really inspiring, and then the sound guy can just do whatever he needs to do to make it sound great out the front.
Yeah.
That's one thing that stereo doesn't give you, because stereo, you've got, and I love stereo, but you've got these stereo effects going left and right, and then the sound guy's got to try and make a stereo mix work. Whereas the wet dry thing, he can just put them center and just then balance them.
Yeah.
Then depending on the room, he can add more wet effects or less wet effects. At that point, sort of none of your business. You've got your sound.
Yeah, get your sound how you
and
like
then
it.
But you can literally pan the hard left and right down the middle.
Yeah.
It does. It will all work.
Wet dry works for me in a way that it puts back a lot of the nicety you might get from a recording situation, where you get to record multiple guitars, or you can use parallel post effects and pan them left and right, and old Van Halen tricks and all of that. For the limited amount of recording I do that is actually about music, I rarely record wet dry.
Sure.
I'd rather record 2 guitar parts.
Yeah, sure.
Or use post stuff. The difference might be in a jam situation. So if you're jamming with a band and it's a small band, there's 3 of you and you need to make a big noise as one guitar player. Awesome.
Mm.
And then have a listen, start there, go there, maybe end up there. Might be that you want all your wet effects over to one side if the keys player's got all their wet effects in the right. It's about context.
Yeah.
And then as the mix gets denser, more people in the band, more instruments, the requirement for wet dry, I think, falls away a little bit for recording, because then you need to really think about how all that stuff is placed. But yeah, exactly what Dan said. However you want.
I have discovered a way to record wet dry or stereo with one amp at home, which is really cool.
Go on then.
So I will get the amp mic'd up and get everything really nice. Say I'm doing a stereo thing or a wet dry thing, and I've got different things going up from one side or the other. I will record one side into the amp, but at the same time I'm splitting the signal beforehand and recording a track, and then so I record that amp, then I'll play that back into the board and take the other output into the speaker, mic that up, and then
so
match them up.
basically.
So it's reamping.
Yeah.
But I'm getting the both sides, but played the same.
Yeah.
It sounds flippin' awesome.
Yeah, I bet it does. One of the things I did today, setting up the T-Rex Echo Rec to use as outboard, I put 2 identical mics at the same position on the speaker, used 2 identical identical preamps and sent one through the Echo Rec and one not, so that we can instantly
Oh, lovely.
A/B and hear the effect that the Echo Rec's having, because it's not true bypass, so you can't switch it in and out. But then in so doing, to come back to your how do you pan them, I've got two guitar signals now, one that's got an Echo Rec on it and one that doesn't. Pan them pretty much hard right and left, leave that one with the Echo Rec on and stick a load of room reverb on that one.
Magic.
So it's kind of, it's same as what Dan does without the reamping.
Yeah,
I've just recorded it twice through two different mics.
Brilliant.
So phase issues notwithstanding, there's something in the chain reverse the phase, so you need to be aware of that. But yeah, it's so much fun, man. It's so much fun. Ron Leslie, after 40 years of recording, I still get record button panic. If I didn't, I'd worry. Yeah, it's got to be natural, bit natural, hasn't it? Bit natural. D&M says J Franz. Hello, J Franz.
Hello, Joe Franz.
Oh no, sorry, we just had you. Sorry. This is Jerry Olney. Hello, Jerry. He says, hi, I recently bought an orange amp, detonator, ABY pedal for a wet dry rig. I put it after the fuzz overdrive in the chain. The dry amp sounds great, but all the fuzz and OD is coming through the wet amp. Help. Yeah, you need to put it before the fuzz and OD. If you think what the ABY pedal is doing, right? Signal goes in, A and B come out, or Y comes out. A is amp 1, B is amp 2. Anything that goes in the front comes out the back. And you can choose to have either A or B or Y, which is A and B. So if you only want the fuzz down one side, you need to put the splitter before the fuzz. Guitar goes in. Let's say you want your fuzz on output A. Goes on output A down to amp A. B goes off through all your wet effects. So just put the splitter before the fuzz in your signal chain, closer to your guitar. That will solve your problem.
Boom.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Good luck. Hope I haven't misunderstood that. Yeah. That should solve that problem, Jerry. Paul Matulovic. Hello, Paul.
Mate.
It's been a while since we've heard from you. Hope you're well, mate. He says distal phalanges.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, hang on. No, these, isn't it?
Yep.
Those ones. I get confused. Spend so long walking on these.
You mean in an evolutionary sense?
Yeah, I mean, in all my previous lives, I've walked predominantly on all fours. Just to observe that your interviews are all the better for the immense tapestry woven with the power of tangents. So much better than the bulleted responses you usually see. Really lets you see the forest. Yeah, we're never going to be succinct and to the point, are we? That seems unlikely.
Yeah.
And inhuman.
Yeah. Well, I get a bit of stick for being such a fanboy. And it's like, yeah, I'm sat there with Johnny Marr, you lemon. I'm going to be freaking out.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I don't want to offend anyone, but I think it's a bit of projection. When people are like, oh, I just can't stand it when you're fanboy. I think it's people projecting a self-esteem issue.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because they wouldn't feel comfortable.
In that
They would need a
situation.
mask.
Oh, okay.
The mask is, I'm going to be cool and not let my feelings show because I need to be something, that I'm masking this.
Sure.
Whereas just being yourself and being okay seems to be a step too far.
Right.
And yeah, all right, you don't necessarily want sycophantic fawning, but if that's what you feel in the moment, that's what's going to come out.
Of course.
Yeah, I find it interesting I find it interesting.
Yeah.
Most negativity is a form of projection.
Interesting.
say something profound, and I really believe that it is.
Right.
Yeah, it's usually an inner fear or bit of negativity that you're feeling that comes out, that you recognise that's coming out to someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I
That
promise
kind
you
of,
that I will
kind of
continue to
negativity.
fanboy every opportunity. I get.
Yeah. And Paul says, Paul Matulovic says, any love for the old Yamaha pedals? I'm starting to see a slew of designs based around their overdrives. I am unaware.
Yeah. Totally.
Do you mean like Magic Stomp or before that?
Before that, so there is. I've got an really old Yamaha limiter and a Yamaha compressor from the same series.
Oh wow. It's new to me. Totally new to me.
They're amazing.
Wow. So were they there? Bit of pedal history. 1965, fuzz pedal comes along. Load of other stuff happens. Mid late 70s, MXR, Boss, Ibanez start to appear. Are they part of that?
Yeah, totally.
Thing.
Yamaha just went, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And they designed that. I don't know if I should say, but I'm going to say it. There's an old Yamaha phaser that is unbelievable. A very dear friend of mine has one, and I played through it, and I've been trying to find one ever since.
How's it different from any other phaser then?
4 knobs on it, and it's got feedback control on it, and it's closer to the old Musitronics.
Okay.
It's mega.
Ah.
It's so mega.
Well, thank you, Paul. I didn't even know Yamaha did stomp boxes. And he also says, I've been missing the chats with questions I could answer. Oregon is home to Catlin Bread, Gecko Pedals, and Petty John. Yes, we were talking about Oregon and some of the creativity that happens there.
Yeah.
Benson's there as well, I think. Maybe not.
Dr. Black, Mr. Black, isn't he there as well?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Scent of a wheelchair pillow. Hey guys, back in Colorado after a long visit to Korea. Your vids were a welcome addition to the 3 Engel speaking channels. Oh, Engel. There's me reading it as Engel Amps. To the 3 English speaking channels. Thanks for all you do. By the way, are you still doing the Riviera Paradise video with Tim?
Yeah, I am.
I've given you the assets.
You have, and I've got them at home, and I will get them done. The last couple of months have just been so flippin' busy, but I am going to do it because I found it really interesting. It's one of those things. It's like I'm going to do a version of it with what I hear over those changes, just to say, have a play and see what you hear, which will be, I'm just bracing for the absolute onslaught.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun.
Yeah,
Like, I don't care. It'd be really fun to try.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying is you haven't put it out because you're worried about
No,
people
I haven't.
will be horrible to you.
No, not at all.
That's why I wouldn't put it out.
No, the thing is that what's the point of me saying, that change really sits poorly with me. Okay, well, what would I do? Okay, put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah.
So this is what I hear over it. Obviously, no, you can't. I would never have that feel and that incredible lyrical quality about the way that, and the he's just on a whole other level with that stuff. It's purely a harmony thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and the stuff that Tim does is inspired.
Get it out there, mate. Good Tuesday video.
Yeah, we'll be.
Yeah, nice. Jonah Livingston. Hi, Jonah. He says, hi, guys. Just got my new Larry Carlton Sire H7. Which
nice.
I just Googled and is a 335 style machine.
Apparently they're really good.
Yeah, by all accounts. I'm really impressed. Question. I've got a Telly, a Strat, a McCarty 594 and the H7. So what we're saying there is you've got a Telly, a Strat. McCarty 594 is kind of doing the Les Paul job for you. Kind of. And the H7 is doing the 335 job for you. Would you go for a Gibson SG to complete the setup or something else?
I'd get an SG and I'd also get a Jag. That's what I did and I'm really happy.
Yeah, SG would be an obvious choice. Humbucker SG or even a Junior So you sort of tick 2 boxes. Could do it. My current favourite guitar is a Rickenbacker 330. After years of calling them firewood and being horrible about them, Johnny Marr has totally changed my mind about Rickenbackers, and we got one in because we got lent it. I want to play the Hard Day's Night chord, but I don't know it. I just play an E. But I tell you what's really weird, compared to Johnny in the video that's coming out on Friday. What do you think about the sound of a Rickenbacker? It sounds dull next to that Jaguar.
Oh, really?
It sounds properly dull. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to play these. I'm just going to hold them.
Anyway, I like it. It's got a new ding on it. Yeah. Dan's answering your question in the form of mime. Come on, mime is money.
Come on, mime is money.
Yeah, go on, get an SG. Go on, get an SG. Go on, get an SG. Chris Matthews. Hello, Chris. Hang on, let's see what sort of... Mark, thank you, Mark. Mark Kember is who's lent us the Rickenbacker.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks, Mark. Funny how things change, says Todd Roy, and they always do, Todd. The one thing I am learning as I get older is to not be worried about things you didn't like or change or situations that you were wrong about. Just don't worry. Just change. Let it be wrong. You know.
Totally.
Change. It's all good.
That's that chord.
I believe it has. Isn't there a note on a piano and somebody
There is.
facing
Yeah.
north?
But that's what the guitar's doing.
A distant violin.
So funny. Some dude asked George Harrison. He said, "What is that chord?" And George goes, "This." And the guy goes, "Yeah, I don't think it was." And George goes, "I'm pretty sure that's what I played, mate."
I think it was. Scott Gaylor says, "I've always avoided playing an SG because of my initials, but this might make me change my mind."
Scott, for what it's worth, I think you would sound flippin' amazing on an SG.
Yeah, and
I really do think you'd sound great on an SG, mate.
And it is your guitar, man. So,
yeah, I think it would suit you. I really do.
Chris Matthews, who I thought was Keris Matthews for a minute, which would be interesting. But Chris came to an experience day, and he says, "Hey D&M, thanks for a great day on Friday. I drove home buzzing with ideas and spent the weekend taking apart the board and trying things out. Dan, your suggestion of a carbon copy into the Free the Tone flight time worked a treat. Thank you, Chris."
Awesome stuff, mate.
Nice one, Chris. There is analog and a digital delay together, properly a magic thing, actually, isn't it?
Ah, it's wonderful.
Steve Cassidy says, "I picked up another Squier Esprit the other day. It's a sleeper. Have either of you ever tried a Fender or a Squier Esprit, the Robin Ford guitar?" Yeah, I've never tried a Squier one. I played a few Fender ones.
Yeah, I've played a Fender one.
Yeah.
Very interesting thing.
Yeah, one of them was preposterously heavy, one of the ones I played.
Yeah. So it's similar to remember the old Yamaha SGs?
Yeah.
Fabulous sounding things, but they're like super heavy.
And the SA, which was the bigger one, because the Robin Ford body's bigger, isn't it? It's big, almost 335, not quite 335
right
size, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
it's a really
between.
interesting shape, the Robin Ford thing. But yeah, great.
Yeah, nice. Again, ignorance abounds. I didn't even know there was a Squier one. Didn't know they'd done one. Did they rename it something else? Like, was it still a Robin Ford guitar when it was a Squier?
I don't know.
Don't know. Anyway, nice. Wastel 10 says, "Hi guys, after watching your great Friday video with Andy Wood, someone coincidentally brought an Eastman mandolin to a jam session on Saturday. It was a great sounding thing and a really nice evening."
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Once you tune into the sound of mandolin, it's astonishing how many songs they're on.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. Go and watch a video of Andy playing mandolin. It's like, it's so interesting. It's the same thing. I was watching Phil X the other day play this impossible guitar solo. I think it's on the new Alice Cooper album, and he's playing along with it, and it's like, it's the solo that he plays, and he shows, basically showing how he plays it, and it's all over the place with these massive string jumps and these flippin' like finger stretches. And there's something about, so Phil X talks about how he learned to play on a bouzouki, and Andy started on mandolin, and both those instruments, I think the bouzouki has their courses, like as in 2 strings for one sound. And I think there's something about having to push 2 strings at once and be really accurate with it.
Yeah.
And why both of those facilities are just ridiculous. But yeah, there's amazing. Andy Wood has these wonderful videos on the Woodshed thing of him playing mandolin. And to hear a mandolin played like that is just so beautiful.
Chris Teeley, everyone, if you want to hear a mandolin.
There you go.
Yeah. Just former, actually still of Nickel Creek. They reformed, didn't they? But his work with Punch Brothers just...
It's astonishing.
Just amazing musicality.
Astonishing.
Yeah, Madison Cunningham's been hanging around with him.
Right.
In a musical sense.
He's like country prog.
Yeah. And Jacob Collier.
Well, Jacob's the whole thing.
Chris Teeley, Jacob Collier and Madison Cunningham. That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Pretty serious musicality going on there. Predictably, I was wondering who would be first. Oh God, now I've flipping lost it. Said, does my willingness to change include modelers? Says, I'm so sorry. It was who's just asked the question. It was Steve Cassidy. Absolutely, yeah. The day I hear one I love, I'll start using them.
Yeah,
absolutely open to it. The day I hear one that I love and that sounds amazing and that gives me the feels, it goes for anything. You know, if it works, I'll use it.
Yeah, sure,
totally. For context, I would say that, just to reiterate what we talked about at the top of the show, we've replaced some of our front end recording gear with really serious analog front end. And all I can say is that it is like a new day to hear harmonics of sound reproduced in a way that's not mucked about with. Or that's mucked about with in a way that I like. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm totally open to it. Yeah. And finally, Stefan Sevelda. Hi, Stefan. He says, hey, DNM. Lately, I'm obsessed with delays, and thanks to you, also find a practical use for them in my band. Any thoughts on a new Benson delay? I really want to hear it. I was talking to Chris Benson the other day. I should have asked him to send one. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Have you watched any demos?
No.
It looks really, really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it does some unusually groovy things.
Cool.
Yeah. So we should get one. I'm not sure why we don't have one, actually. They usually send stuff, but so many pedals, so little time.
That's for A Camp.
What?
He said, quick down, play a D-7 chord.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Somebody was getting quite triggered by that earlier.
By what?
The George Harrison chord.
If you get, there's an amazing...
Hi, Jeff McCurlane.
Randy Bachman. There's a recording of him, and he's like a Beatles fanatic. And he goes through it on stage, and he gets all the instruments to play the right things, and then you hear the chord. But that, according to George Harrison, that's what he plays over that.
Nice. So, Eagle Ray Rob says, are you running the analog gear into the universal audio for AD conversion? Yes, we are. There are some of the Neve stuff does do AD. Haven't quite got my head around it yet. The thing that is awesome about the UAD is the monitoring and the latency correction. So when you have to monitor anything you're playing, it's just really clever at how it deals with all of that.
Right.
And I think to all intents and purposes, UA's AD conversion is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's seriously professional gear. Whether Neves is any better or not, I don't know about that. But yeah, and what that means is, so we've now got 10 channels of nice analog front end, 4 Neve 1081s, 4 1073s, and 2 Meris 440s, which means we can record 10 analog channels, which when we're doing band recordings is usually enough.
Yeah. Sure.
For the core of the band that we do in here. And the UA takes care of... And of course, you then have, if you want to use plugins, you've got the UA plugins, which are stellar,
Yeah, really.
So
great.
if you do want to add stuff or EQ stuff or anything like that, you've got that functionality too. But it's been really eye-opening just to hear, and it sounds like a cliche to say it, but if you just spend time on the mic placement, getting the source right, another 10 minutes, another 5 minutes,
Yeah.
another minute.
Yeah.
Sometimes a minute's enough.
Fix it in pre.
Yeah. And then you get your gain levels right. It's like, oh my God, nothing to fix.
Yeah.
Nothing to fix. Everything else is to taste. And it's quite the revelation.
Yeah.
It's quite
nice.
the revelation. And to be fair, when we moved, I've got a shout out. I have to give humble props to the Zoom H6.
It's so good.
All the early TPSs were done on a Zoom H6, right? 2 voice mics, 2 amp mics, room mics. Basically placed there. And then we discovered its limitations, doesn't have much headroom on the pre's, getting some digital and all that. And we moved to the UA stuff. And that was like caveman seeing fire for the first time. It's finally... So when did we start doing TPS?
7 years.
Still works great. I used it today when I'm talking about the production on the track, I run the outputs of the track into there and a voice mic into there so that I can talk over it.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. The screen has been going screwy for about 18 months and it's finally to the point where I can't see stuff. So Zoom H6, which begat that pedal show's audio quest.
There you go.
Is going
That's
to
a great place to start.
The great, unless the screen can be replaced, which I doubt is cost effective to do, is going to the great recording pile in the sky.
Oh no.
And I shall buy a new one.
Yeah.
Because it is an amazing bit
Yeah.
of gear. And there's loads of other different ones now. The stuff they're making is unbelievable now. But just to fast forward that and finish it off, sorry I've talked too much. Actual nice mics, actual nice source sound, world-class analog pre's. It's a different game.
It's wonderful.
It's a different game. And Gareth, Johnson, it's your fault.
Well,
I love you for it.
that day we spent with him in his studio
Yeah.
at what's it called?
Standalone Productions is what he is, but
Yeah,
it's his studios at Metropolis.
Metropolis. That ruined me.
Yeah.
Hearing that, it was outrageous. Yeah, had a couple of people asking about this SG. Ben Allmark, out of curiosity, is that SG a custom shop or a production model? It's just a standard. It's a 61 reissue.
Standard USA one.
Standard USA one. So a friend of mine, Mitch, who
Well, used to help us on TPS
used
back
to help
in
us
the
on
day.
TPS. He recorded the Tin Spirits albums. He does. He works for me. Works for Thorpe. Love him. He's just the best guy. Anyway, he brought this into the office. So just wanted to bring this in because I'm going to sell it. I've got too many guitars, and if you're interested, I thought, the last thing I need now is another guitar. I picked it up, and I loved it.
Sounds killer.
It's really great. It's just
you used it for a whole show. I can't remember what the show was. Maybe, and it's such a great sound.
yeah, I really like it.
Telly Paul.
The other SG looking thing is an original 61 Junior, but yeah, this I'm very taken with this guitar. A bit of a quandary actually, because I'll pick this up and play it.
That was nice.
Like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to leave it there.
it was nice.
But I've been playing the Johnny Marr, the Jag, so much.
Yeah.
But I think I am going to change the pots in it and maybe have a look at the pickups. No. So
Why?
because that thing is.
Don't look at the pickups. Please don't change the pickups.
I might change the pots though,
Right,
from 1 meg to 500k,
right.
because it's got that bright.
Why can't you just turn the tone control down a bit?
Can't do it.
I said to him the other day, I was like, it's preposterously trebling down. Please just knock the the tone control off like 10, 15%. And he puts it down and gets another guitar.
I don't like. I just there's something about. No, I don't like it. It's very silly, but I don't know. I don't like it.
I can't play a telly without the bridge pickup. It's always got to be on 80% for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But see, the problem I have then is because there's only one tone control.
Unless there's loads of gain, in which case full out. But
Yeah, there's only one tone control, and when you go to the neck, then I can't be adjusting.
your telly's not wired on the neck.
No, my telly's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's not a problem for me. Anyway, I just find that I just want a little bit more. That the guitar has so much sizzle. I won't touch the pickups in it.
Don't.
Yeah, I won't. But I might just have a play with the pots.
Well, do what you like. It's your guitar.
Yeah. But the neck on it,
Yeah.
I am so drawn to it.
You're really into neck pickups at the moment. I've noticed that in the recent shows we've done.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Someone said, God, Mick, your body language towards Dan is really bad. And I'm looking at him going, please change to the bridge pickup. Please change. I don't know whether it's my hearing's just damaged, but I Strat neck pickup, Stevie Ray notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding, I just, I don't know, I just love bridge pickups.
Yeah.
Anyway, these are these are our 21st century problems, aren't they? Not that there's a problem. Okay, I think we might wrap it up there and say thank you to everyone for being here. We're really sorry it's been hit and miss with VCQ just recently.
We are working on it. It's a technology issue.
We've got 2 options for different internet providers, and they're both really, really expensive. So
see how we go.
yeah. Not as expensive as Neve 1073 preamps, but actually more expensive than Neve 1073 preamps for the installation.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris Smith says, I have a 2-rock Bloomfield drive, and after hearing the TS1, I'm having a crisis. Dan had a crisis over the TS1.
Dan is having a crisis. Thank you very much. I just couldn't get that sound out of my head. I've never heard an amplifier, an amplifier that's got channel 1 and channel 2, that I've loved both. The clean channel on that thing is so heavenly.
Yeah.
It is so rich and full, and then you kick the gain channel on. It's like, and we had a lot of gain in that day. It wasn't like a little bit of gain. It was like, this is proper. And there was nothing. You could still hear each guitar. It's not like a lot of amps I find, a lot of 2-channel amps I find that are so crunchy. It's like you can plug anything into it, it sounds the same. But when you get to a certain gain level, but that thing was so rich and
or that there's not like a clear relationship between the clean and the crunch channel.
Yeah,
that happens in quite a lot of dual channel amps where it's like, hang on a minute, this is something completely different.
And they're both a bit compromised to try and make each thing work.
Or you really love one but not the other.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, 2-Rock TS1 is their latest. 2-Rock has always done a Dumble Overdrive Special type amplifier, and this is the one that I've got is their latest incarnation of that circuit and their latest sort of take on that circuit. It's not like a slavish clone or anything, but it is designed to do that sound, and there's good reason why loads of players down the years have loved that approach.
Yeah. And the next experience day, I plugged in my matchless in a similar way with the wet dry wet thing, and that sounded really great. I was really pleased with it. But there's something about that TS1 that haunts me.
Yeah, it's great. When I first got it, plugged it in, I thought, God, that's quite fizzy. And then started to wind it up. I was like, oh, I get this. And then to preempt the question that we just had, I did a few gigs with it over the summer, and one of them went and sat in with Jake Loosemore's band, and John Cordy got up to play it, and I heard it out the front, which of course you don't often get to do.
Yeah,
I was
of
like,
course.
Man, all right, it was John playing, and that's 80% of the deal, right? Maybe 95% of the deal, because John's such an amazing player. But I was like, it was unmistakable what that sound was.
Yeah.
It was that sound.
Yeah.
You know, that sound that we know from those amps. So anyway, and Christopher Butler, sorry Chris, it's taken us ages to get to your question. He says, will John Cordy still be joining you sometime soon? Yeah, hopefully. We just need to sort it out, and we're just crap at organising things, is the truth. And do you have his Pete Cornish fuzz? Yes, I do. No, we haven't done any videos with it. I've been really rubbish.
No, not been rubbish.
It's up there.
Don't say we've been rubbish. I mean,
There's
there's just so much going on, and the wonderful thing is there is still so much yet to do. There's so much more joy to bring, and we will get there.
Yeah. Yep. We will. We just need to do it. Good. I'm just checking. Henry Cameron, when was the last time you used your casino? Friday's show, Henry. It starts off in last Friday's show. Interestingly, about the casino, for a bit of a... Sometimes when Dan picks up red, it's such a stridently loud guitar that any guitar I play next to it sounds weak. So it always sounds... I've got to hit the guitar too hard, and I don't like doing that. I like playing softly these days a bit more. So I pick up the casino because it's pretty much the only guitar I've got that will match red for kind of clarity and punch and attack. And it's nice to do that. It's really nice to do that. Dan, so if Dan and I were playing together, my amps would be set 30% louder than Dan's, but I don't hit as hard. So I've got more, but Dan hits hard. So to balance those two things out using exactly the same effects can be a challenge, even though we've been doing it for the last 7 years.
But that's why it's really interesting, because, you know, running through exactly the same effects, exactly the same rig, and we just sound so different.
Yeah.
It's great. It's I think that's a really important thing.
But there is something about volume and relative volume where, and this certainly happens with recording, if you don't hit the sort of threshold of where harmonics and it all starts to get interesting and good, it just sounds weak.
Yeah.
And sometimes my Strat can do that. It just needs more gusto from the amp or from the pedals, whereupon that would just be too much for red, and it would be like...
I'd be really interested to see from the what's the gentleman's name in Japan?
Susumu Tamara, I think, and apologies if I've got that wrong.
I'd love to see what his thought process was for that very specific EQ curve in the Tube Screamer. Well, because I wonder if he's a Strat player.
Yeah, I haven't asked him about Tube Screamers. It's all about the SD9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you being polite? You're working your way up to Tube Screamers?
Well, because the show's about SD9s. I've asked him, you know, we know the Tube Screamer, we know it so well, we know it was designed to sound like an overdriving tube amp. Where does the SD9 sit with that? What was it supposed to do? What was its design brief? So he might touch on that, I guess, as part of the answer. He might.
Be fascinating.
Good. Thank you for being here, everyone. It's nice to be back. People saying, please get Steve Rothery.
Yes.
Says Anno Oberman.
Steve has told me that he's very happy to come on the show. He's been very busy with all things Marillion. But Steve is a truly beautiful human, and yeah, would love to would love to get him on. So yeah, I'll keep pestering him.
Yep. Good. Thanks for being here. We'll be all about Jaguars and Rickenbackers on Friday, and the show is called something like "Does It Have to Jangle?" And as we get to the end of the show, you'll realise the answer is a resounding no.
So good. Yeah, I'm still hearing those amps.
Yeah, I do think the mic pre's might have been clipping a bit by the end there, but there we are. That's what you've got analog gear for, isn't it? Good. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thank you for watching TPS and supporting us in this way. We're glad to be back.
Indeed.
I don't know what Dan's going to be in Australia in December, so it might be that he can join us remotely.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe get a friend or two in to take his place. Okay, thanks also to our podcast listeners on Patreon. More on that in due course. Who's the blind opera singer dude?
Pavarotti?
No, he's got eyes. Actually, sorry, blind people have eyes. He could see. He could see. Is he dead?
Yeah,
Pavarotti?
No, Pavarotti's.
Is it Placido Domingo?
No, it's the other one.
Right.
But I know who you're talking about. Andre. Yeah.
Anyway, he was on Strictly last night playing with his daughter. And it was very nice and everything, and she's young, and so I don't want to be too rude about it. But they did Hallelujah.
Should they have left it alone, or was it really good?
I just don't think anyone's allowed to do that song after Jeff Buckley. I know it's a Leonard Cohen song, but
yeah,
that
was the end.
It's done.
Yeah.
Don't do that song
sure.
anymore. That was a bit bitchy, wasn't it? Anyway, I was screaming at the telly going, no! Play us out with Jeff Buckley. See you soon, people.